how serious should we be considering Iowa as a college football playoff contender? And if I am projecting a futures market for a team like Iowa this year, I'm putting all my chips in. I really believe that this is an Iowa team that can finally put it together offensively, that finally has the perfect system for a quarterback to run, and Tim Lester's system, a dominant Phil Parker defense that we are expecting, as usual, is going to help Iowa get over the hump in the Big Ten and be one of the last ones in to the college football playoff. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Southern Sports Scene here. We are live always on YouTube, X as well. Make sure you all do us a favor. Hit the like and share button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live, posting a video or posting a short here on the Southern Sports Scene. Every live show brought to you by our good friends over at Frostbuddy. Going over to frostbuddy.com. Use our promo code SSS15 to get 15% off. That's code SSS15 to get 15% off of your first purchase on all things cups, tumblers, mugs, whatever it is. Also, we want to thank our friends at Chike Nutrition. Get the day started with a hearty, fresh cup of coffee. And why not get it from the best coffee provider on the market with 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, 1 gram of sugar. Your day can be elite with our friends at Chike Nutrition. Iowa last year was this close to playing for a college football playoff. They are a few stops away from knocking off Indiana. They're a field goal make away from knocking off Oregon. And they were in one-score games with teams like Iowa State and USC. Is this year the year that they finally get it over the hump? There's always been a lot of things that could have gone a lot better for them. And I know what you're thinking. How in the world can a team like Iowa that has lost so much talent, that is going to lose their starting quarterback this past year in Mark Gronowski? That make no mistake, there were times where Mark Gronowski looked incredible. 16 rushing touchdowns, but a 10-7 touchdown to interception ratio just wasn't going to cut it. He's just not a guy that was going to throw the football as much. That's what hurt Iowa in a lot of games. That's what cost them in some games. So what do you look like in that department? Well, Jackson Stratton is entering the transfer portal. Will he be back for Iowa? I have no idea. He's a grad transfer at the moment. Does he come back to Iowa? We will see. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. So, in that case, where does Iowa turn to? Well, they just had their spring game. Let's talk about some of the key players that they got from the transfer portal before we kind of dive into what their spring game looked like. You went out and you get top-tier guys. You get Cody Haddad, 3-star transfer safety out of Ohio State. Very versatile guy coming out of high school. Top 50 safety at times throughout the recruiting season in 2025. He's a box player. He's going to have great instincts. Does match up well with receivers in playing man-to-man coverage. I think he can be a very versatile safety for the Hawkeyes in a position that Iowa likes to pride themselves in at times. You also get a guy like Xavier Stiles, who was one of the top DBs and at Robert Morris, one of the top DBs in this past portal class. Lance Ingold, who is a defensive lineman from Northern Illinois. Lot of potential, man. Lot of potential. I know that he wasn't really a very highly sought after commodity. The statistics may not be there, but guys, he gets off the football in a hurry. And he can be an elite defensive linemen in the Big Ten. I think the receiving end, though, is going to be where Iowa finds their bread and butter. Evan James from Furman led the team in receptions and receiving yards, had 8 total touchdowns, is going to be a gadget player that's going to be all over the field. Lance Beagley coming from SMU, played in San Antonio, didn't see much action. I don't know if he's going to get a lot of playing time at Iowa, but again, who knows what will happen from here until we get to the end of the season. But what does the quarterback room look like for this Iowa Hawkeyes team? I mean, I think that there is a lot of potential for where this quarterback room looks like. I think it's great that it's an open competition. I think that you have a lot of guys that have shown out and shown up. I think Hank Brown looked really good at times. Jeremy Hecklinski has done really well. Both had a good number of reps at practice. Inconsistency. That was the biggest thing, though, that a lot of people took away from the end of spring practice. And how do you get better at that? Are you going to run a 2-quarterback system? That's going to be the big difference in being a elite team. When you talk about these two guys, I know Hecklinski has some good momentum going for him, having been in this offense already. Brown, this is his second full year as a starter, was the backup to Hecklinski at times. I know both of them shared a lot of touches throughout the game. But I think Hank Brown is the guy that's going to be your deep ball threat. I think we will see him take the job at the end of the day. And he's got one of the best receivers in Reese Vanderzee, who's coming off of an incredible year this past year. Comeback player of the year in 2025. I thought he was really elite at times. I think he's got all the potential in the world to be an underrated Big Ten wide receiver for Iowa. I think there's a lot of things that when me and you look at the film from Iowa, there is a crazy amount of momentum that is going to head their way when it is all said and done. But your number one receiver out of all of it is going to be KJ Parker. And that's a guy that I think a lot of people have been waiting to kind of break out. Didn't get a whole lot of touches the last 2 seasons, but you just feel like this is a guy that is primed to have a breakout year for Iowa. I think your receiving core is consistent. I think you have guys that you can throw the football to. I think defensively, expectations have not changed yet. You went out into the portal. You got elite defensive linemen. But the biggest question mark I have right now for Iowa is how do you replace 3 draft picks on the offensive line that were part of a Joe Moore Award-winning offensive line? You lose Logan Jones, who was been with that team all 5 years that he was at Iowa. All right. 3-year starter at center. You talk about Jennings Dunker, who's a 3-year starter. Bo Stevens, who was a 3-year starter. Offensive line is going to obviously play a big role. I do think Tim Lester has arguably the most impressive offensive staff right now with what Kirk Ferentz has built. I think it's been really, really impressive seeing what has been a really consistent offensive line. George Barnett is one of the more underappreciated and underrated offensive line coaches. Been with the program since 2021, and it seems like year after year he's able to develop and put together fantastic offensive lines over and over and over again. And he's going to show that. He's going to continue to build upon that. I think L.J. Phillips coming in from South Dakota is going to provide a spark. He was one of the Missouri Valley Conference's best running backs this past year. Almost a 2,000 yards rusher, really explosive out of the backfield. And every time he touches the football, you think it's a house call. I think if Iowa is able to find an answer to their offensive line, if they can find a starting five by the time we get to fall camp, I think that Iowa should be a team that we should be talking about as a college football playoff contender. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Where do you have Iowa this year? The schedule. By the way, I didn't even mention the schedule for Iowa. And it's going in their favor. You have road games against Michigan and at Illinois. You have home games against Ohio State, and you have an away game against Washington. You obviously have the Cyhawk in the second week of the season. But this is a fairly favorable schedule where ceiling should be 10-2. The median could be either 8-4, 9-3. I think if you're able to steal an upset against Ohio State or Michigan or Washington, I think the likelihood of you going 10-2 skyrockets from there, especially if you enter that week between September 26th to October 10th and you go 1-2 that weekend. I think your chances are really good, and I think that puts you in a really good position to be a college football playoff contender. But once again, guys, thank you guys for watching. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the bell notifications. We'll see you guys soon. Y'all have a good day.